Hi, and welcome back to another edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. We have a great show lined up for you today. Let me introduce my panel. Tyler Harper, Mark Wilson, and Tommy McIntyre. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on. And it's sad, but it's true. It's our last Sports Talk episode for this school year as we have finals next week, so we won't be filming any more Sports Talk episodes. So it's kind of a sad day here. Also sad because the Flyers lost last night. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the Daily News actually the front page from today's Daily News. Flyers extinguished, it says, punctuating the feelings of all Flyers fans as Wayne Simmons is just drowning in his sorrows at Madison Square Garden. Guys, what did you see last night, and how disappointed are you that the season had to end like that?
Well, what a difference 24 hours makes. I mean, just the day before, literally, they were looking very dominant against a Rangers team that, for the most part, had the upper hand in that series. They were able to even it up in Game 6, looking very well, and then Game 7 happened, and it seemed like the only Flyer that came to play, we'll highlight him in a bit, is Steve Mason. Steve Mason was phenomenal last night. For whatever reason, none of the other guys could really just get a step out there and just get going.
Yeah, I mean, last night it's hard to watch them lose like that after that huge win in Game 6 where there was all momentum in the world and everyone was fired up until they were Flyer extinguished. We'll go on with the Daily News here. But, yeah, so we had some Steve Mason, but, it was just rough. The defense was struggling. Offense wasn't getting many shots that, were getting to the goal. Most of them were getting blocked. So it was real rough to watch them lose that tough game.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the game they just weren't really they couldn't get in their zone. In the third period, they really battled. It felt like they had a chance the whole period. I was like, we're gonna tie this game up. We're gonna tie this game up. Steve Mason was playing great in goal. He was stopping everything, giving them a chance to come back and tie the game. They just weren't able to get that extra goal.
Yeah, what was it about the Rangers defense that allowed them to block so many shots? It seems like they couldn't get anything through. They were not playing the puck well into the Rangers zone very much. What were they doing that was so effective?
I don't know if it was as much them kind of realizing what they did wrong in Game 5 as much as it was the Flyers kind of, for whatever reason, just getting fatigued. I mean, I don't know if it was a rough bus ride up to Madison Square Garden or what, but for whatever reason, that Rangers defense just looked a lot more locked down. They got a lot more physical than they did in Game 6, and just for whatever reason, we're able to get in front of those shots again, just like it did in the early games, and just there was more than one goalie out there for the Rangers.
I don't think it was so much the Rangers' defense as it was the Flyers' offense. Because the Flyers' offense did a real poor job moving the puck quickly. I mean, it seemed very slow, and there's a lot of hesitation going on. So there's a lot of opportunities for the Flyers to take shots, quick one-timers, and they just weren't taking them. They would hesitate, look for another pass before trying to shoot the puck. So I think had the Flyers moved the puck a lot faster and not been so hesitant, they would have had at least one more goal and a better chance of winning the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's Madison Square Garden. I mean, we won one game there, but I mean, early in the season, early in the series, the Rangers were able to play well there, and we just couldn't get a win there, and we couldn't get another win there. It was just the offense, the defense. It didn't really matter. We didn't come to play. We didn't, and until the third period, like I said, and it was tough to watch last night.
Yeah, the one guy that did stand out, like Tyler said, was Steve Mason. In the last two games, he really stood on his head for the Flyers. 1-1 in those two games, but he had 65 saves, only 4 goals allowed, and he won his first career playoff game this series. So kind of a breakout series for him, showing that he is the Flyers guy. And how comforting is it that he's going to be the guy moving forward? And there's been so much goalie controversy over the past couple of years with Galov and Bobrovsky. And how good is it to have that solidified figure in goal?
Yeah, it feels kind of strange but rewarding in the sense that Steve Mason is the goalie of the future. Normally, the past couple playoff series we've been in, we've come out of it wondering what's going to happen with the goaltending situation, and the goaltending situation has changed the last couple times. But this time in these last couple games, of course he was hurt right away, but you saw Steve Mason just stand out. So because of that the way he performed, especially in those final two games, you got to wonder what would happen if he was healthy for all those games. You got to wonder how different of a series that really could have been.
Yeah, for me, Steve Mason was absolutely amazing. At the end, he was standing on his head. He made incredible saves with his glove. And what really beat the Flyers was not so much Steve Mason's defense, was that the Rangers would just get him out of position. They would have a wraparound. He'd be on the other side of the net, and it'd be a quick pass to the opposite side, and the Rangers just put in the net. But for me, it's going to be to see Steve Mason continue the success the next year. They've had the goalies in the past. It's almost been a revolving door, but they come in and out. Someone's hot, and they stay with it, and you think they're going to do well again, but they don't. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Steve Mason continues this success into his third year.
Yeah, he started this season unbelievably. Really played well. Then he kind of tailed off a little bit end of the season, and then he was hurt obviously the first couple games of the series, and then he came back, played outstanding, and then that was nice to see. It's just a shame we just don't have the players around him. So hopefully next year, and hopefully next year we're able to put pieces around him that can help him defensively as well, and of course offensively we need to score goals for him. But it's very nice to see a goal that we have for the future.
Yeah, like you said, they are a bit shorthanded, and a big reason why they lost the series was the play of two guys. Scott Hartnell and Braden Shen did not have good series by any means. They didn't score in the series. They had 6 assists combined between the two of them, and combined for a -2 out of 7 games they were on the ice. What was wrong with these two? Because they've been solid all year.
Yeah, it was strange to see these two just, for whatever reason, be non-existent. I mean, it was very interesting. A lot of people were saying that Scott Hartnell maybe should have focused more. Of course, he and Jake Voracek did the Blackbeard thing along on that first line when they were on the first line. Of course, Scott Hartnell got demoted from the Giroux-Voracek line, but at least when Voracek did it, at least he was able to score and make plays happen. Scott Hartnell had that one assist in Game 1 to get that first goal, but other than that, he really just was non-existent. He was constantly beaten to the puck, constantly turning the puck over, along with Braden Shen, who had a couple bad passes, especially in Game 7. So they just need to get their heads together, take the offseason, stay in shape, and just be able to come back with a head of steam next year.
Yeah, I think it wasn't so much themselves, it was the Rangers' defense. Because Rangers, they knew who they had to stick and who they had to defend really well. We saw them do it with Giroux, and I think they did the same thing with Shen and Hartnell. They know these two guys are big playmakers for the Flyers, and they can definitely turn the pace in the game. And by able to shutting these two guys down, in addition to shutting down Claude Giroux, that was the series changer for the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, it was really surprising watching the series, and you really just felt like their names were never called. Maybe that's partly because I'm used to seeing Hartnell with his long hair, and I'm just like, this. You don't even notice him out there, and it's just like it was really weird this series. They played well. Hartnell especially played well in the regular season, so it's very tough to see them not do anything in this series.
Now, these two's lapses kind of put an exclamation point on the lapses that the Flyers do have. What do they need to do in this offseason to get to the point where they need to be competing for a Stanley Cup?
Maybe a little more strength on the D, especially, and just they need to focus on the main thing that killed me with this team was the turnovers. There were a lot of turnovers that were just very ugly, and especially in that Game 7 that the Rangers were just able to grab the puck, take advantage. And Keith Jones said it on the NBC intermission report. The Rangers should have been up 5-0 at the end of that second period. The Flyers are thankful because either Steve Mason was able to stop up a shot or the Rangers had an easy opportunity and just frankly missed the net. So the defense needs to tighten up a little bit and they need to focus on turnovers. Other than that, once they can try to iron out those issues with Craig Berube in the offseason, they'll be able to go.
For me, it's going to be speed, both in passing the puck, which I said was one of the issues here in this Rangers series, but also just the speed of the players in general, being able to get up and down the ice quicker, and be able to get themselves back in position to prevent those open shots that are coming for them. So speed's definitely the thing that the Flyers have to work on this offseason.
Yeah, they can definitely try to get some more depth on the defensive side. They're going to need that, especially in front of Mason, who's been playing well. But I think you can always use scoring. So if they can try to find some more scoring this offseason, help out those lines, I think next year we can make another run, hopefully.
Speaking of scoring, one guy that played well all season for the Flyers, Claude Giroux, is one of the 3 nominees for the Hart Trophy or Hart Award. He along with Crosby and gets loud. Yeah, sure. Are in the running for basically best hockey player in the NHL. He 89 games, 30 goals, 62 assists for a total of 92 points. Guys, how important is Claude Giroux in this whole kind of getting the Flyers back to Stanley Cup level playoff hockey team?
Well, he was the sole reason they made the playoffs, really. I mean, not obviously he didn't carry, but for lack of a better term, yes, he did carry this team. When he was snubbed from Team Canada, like we've mentioned a bunch of time on this show, that was a real wake-up call for Claude. He started the year out terribly. He had an awful October, but even then he said, it's all right, this team's going to make the playoffs. And sure enough, that spark got lit under him, and he was able to go, and he just became a different player, and the rest of the team followed suit. So they were able to do that, and they were able to make the playoffs.
Yeah, he was the key for this team. Like when the Flyers struggled beginning of the year, Claude Giroux was struggling. When he turned it up midway through the year and really got them back on track to get into the playoffs, that was because Claude Giroux was carrying them. They thought it was a lack of a better word, but he basically did. He was one that's really stepped up and made the Flyers that much of a better hockey team. And just having him and just finding more pieces for him to work with is really going to be important for the Flyers because we saw Simmons step up and Hartnell step up, and but you need at least one other person to be able to do that, to be an asset to the Flyers and step up and help Claude Giroux and be someone Claude Giroux can turn to when Claude Giroux gets shut down like he did by the Rangers in this series.
Yeah, Claude Giroux is the whole heart and soul of the Flyers. You definitely saw this series. I mean, he was the target. I mean, he was getting bashed against the boards. He was getting slashed. I mean, he got his mask, for goodness sakes, like ripped down trying to get hit down by players on the Rangers. So he was getting beat up, and you have to get more players around him so that hopefully so then they'll cover more guys. They're trying to get on other players so that you can give them more space, opportunity to play well and score.
All right, guys, just real quick, if you had one Flyer that you don't think will be on next year's squad, who is it?
One Flyer that don't feel like will be on next year's squad. Can I pass? I don't know. Because
You can't pass.
I can't pass. That's awesome. Maybe just because there were some plays that he could have made and he could probably be trade bait. I guess maybe Braden Coburn, or if Kimmo Timonen decides to retire, then I think either one of those two will probably be the one to go.
Yeah, Timonen retiring or Cal Heater. He came into the playoffs as a third goalie. He was just not good at all. So I wouldn't expect him back.
Yeah, I was thinking Coburn maybe if you wanted to trade him or something, because I mean we definitely could use more scoring, and I think anytime you can, and we've seen in the past, Paul Holmgren isn't afraid to trade big pieces for us and try to get something else. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do a big move and trade Coburn away.
That's all. Nope, that's all.
Okay. We will move on from the Philadelphia Flyers, who closed out their season once again at Madison Square Garden, on to the Phillies, who are in the middle of their season. Right now they're 13-13, hanging in there. They're only a couple games back of the Braves, which is shocking. They went out west for a road trip. Let's take a look at how they did. They ended up going 6-4 on this West Coast road trip, which, I mean, 500 would have been great for them. They lost their first two, so it looked bleak. Then they finished 6-2. The starters had a 1.82 ERA on the trip, which is just absolutely phenomenal for the Phillies. What was so great about this road trip, and does that actually give you any hope for the rest of the season?
I think you pointed out a 1.82 ERA for the starters, and not only that, they were able to go deep in the ball games, which limited the main weakness on this team, which we all know is that Phillies bullpen. It's not great. Everyone in Major League Baseball is aware of this. But if the starters can be able to stay consistent like that, especially now that Cole Hamels is back, and be able to go deep in the games like that, keep runs to a minimal, go 6-7 innings, shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, them going to the West Coast here, coming back with a great record, finishing 6-4, really shows the Phillies can play not at home. They can play away on the road, which is something they've struggled with the past couple of years. But also the stars, the 1.82, like Tyler said, shows that it's not the starting pitchers that are the problem. It's the bullpen. But the big thing for the West Coast trip for me was them going to L.A. and taking 3 of the 4 games in that series. And that was huge to be able to go into L.A. and play the Dodgers, one of the more successful teams the past couple of years in the National League, and beat them. It's a huge highlight for the Phillies.
Yeah, I think what I really liked in the road trip was their fight. It's great to see them, go down, especially in that Arizona game when they're down, and you just see them. They're going back to the old Phillies, where they're not going to give up. It's not like, oh, we're down by 4 and we're like, our offense stinks, we're not going to score any runs. But now it looks like the old guys are starting to. Especially Chase Utley, Ruiz with a great. We're probably going to talk about that. Just a great road trip, and it's nice to see those guys fight, hit. Doesn't matter if we're down, we're going to fight to the end and hopefully win a game.
Yeah, they do have a new sense of life, kind of like you said. One thing that has been a problem for them is the bullpen. How disturbing is this bullpen for you guys?
Oh, it's very disturbing. Like I said earlier, because of that, you've got to hope that the starters like the Cliff Lees, the Cole Hamels, the A.J. Burnett's, obviously the three-headed monster, so to speak, leading your rotation. You got to hope that they go deep in the innings and go at least 7 strong, so maybe in a perfect world you can hand the ball off to Bastardo and then the Papelbon and get a win.
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. You can't expect every pitcher to go out at 7 innings every time, and that's just not going to happen. We all know that. And not having the confidence in the bullpen, and probably not even having the talent in the bullpen sometimes, to take you to 2 innings you may need to get out of them to get the win. And that's just going to be a nightmare itself. But then you think about it, you're going to be riding more on your starting pitchers more and more as the year goes on, and they're going to get more tired, which will lead to injury. So once when your starting pitchers get hurt and that's starting to get a little thin, have more you rely on your bullpen, it's just not going to be good for the Phillies. And if it comes down to that, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, the bullpen's been a problem. It was a problem last year, and I thought Ruben Amaro was going to try to do something in the offseason, but he really didn't. And now,
he didn't do much, did he?
Yeah, he didn't, sadly. The starting rotation though, it was nice getting A.J. Burnett, but like Tyler was saying, they have to go deep in games because it's just if we cannot, like Cole Hamels is struggling. If Cole Hamels is going to continue to struggle, that's not going to be good because you can't have bullpen guys coming in early in games, or it's not going to end well for the Phillies.
But their starters have been playing well, and especially one guy that's throwing the ball right now is A.J. Burnett. His record doesn't exactly show. He just got his first win as a Philly the other night. But he's 1-1 on the season with a 2.15 ERA and 6 starts. His last outing, 8 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts. So he's pitching the ball well. And how important is he to get on track to keep the Phillies kind of in the right direction for the rest of the season?
He's basically essential to success, being the third man in that rotation. When we had Dan Baker on for the Phillies preview show, you mentioned at the time the signing of A.J. Burnett, and I said this is really the only move I really liked by Ruben Amaro Jr., and right now it's been positive. A.J. Burnett, when he really gets that sinker down and gets guys swinging over it and grounding it just right to the infielders so they can make the easy plays, that's when he's on, and that's what he's been doing the last couple times. Last year, he led the NL with K through 9 innings. I forget the exact number, but if he's able to get back on track like he was with Pittsburgh last year, he could definitely be essential in helping the Phillies at least stay close to contending.
Yeah, he's going to be the anchor point of that three-headed monster that you said with the pitchers, helping them Phillies stay in games and helping them win. There's other 2 starters that might be shaky at times, but having Burnett play really well and be able to go deep into the game and keep the ERA low, it's going to give the Phillies offense, which struggles at time, might give them a 4-3 victory just by Burnett pitching really well.
Yeah, A.J. Burnett's been great. He's more than what you really hope for. You hope he could be a solid third starter for this team, and he's been better now, especially with Cole being out. So he's done exactly what he needs to do and more, and hopefully he can continue that for the rest of the season.
I guess we're on a positive spin of the Phillies today. Another guy that's been playing well for the Phillies is Carlos Ruiz. Has been an absolute stud in the last month. He was hitting close to 200. His average is now at 297. He's the NL Player of the Week. He went 11 for 22 last week with a 593 on base percentage, 909 slugging. How has he been playing so well, and how happy are you that he's back on the right track?
Yeah, he was just able to focus in first couple weeks of the season. He was able to. He struggled a little bit. He did, but he was able to find his groove on whatever it was on this West Coast road trip, and he was able to see the ball well. And this was a signing that we were all kind of negative about, bringing him back at his age, because actually at Phillies Media Night, which me and Tommy were at, Ruben Amaro, I believe, mentioned Carlos Ruiz that when he first came up, he didn't see the ball right away, and then he had age, so a lot of people were skeptical. But now he's back on the right track and just won NL Player of the Week. So Chooch, always a good presence behind the plate, handling that pitching staff, and now showing it at the plate. This is exactly what the Phillies need.
Yeah, the Phillies really look to catchers, to bring up towards the bottom part of their lineup, which he's doing right now. And I think part of it's because he's back to being 100% healthy. He struggled with injuries sporadically throughout the past couple of years, kind of last season too. I think having him 100% healthy, just like having Utley healthy and Howard healthy, he's another weapon for the Phillies offense, which he obviously showed this past week.
Mark was saying bottom part of the lineup, but what really Ryan Saunders is doing this year, he's changing them. He's moving around the lineup. He was batting 4th, he was batting 5th, and that's crazy to see. You expect, he even moved Ryan Howard out, even when put Marlon Byrd there in the lineup. So Ryan Saunders is changing things around. He's trying to do different things, and Ruiz is playing great.
All right, well, that'll do it for Phillies talk for this edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia. On to the Eagles, who are right in the middle of the offseason. The draft's coming up in just about a week and a half. The big news, obviously, is still Deshaun Jackson, for whatever reason it may be that we're still talking about Deshaun Jackson. But Chip Kelly came out and said yesterday, Deshaun was released for football-related reasons only after he had 82 receptions, 1,332 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Guys, what's a football decision to let him go, or is this just, coach speak?
It's obviously coach speak, more team speak, I would say. This is
franchise
speak, yes. This is more Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie saying, although Chip's smart enough to know that this is what they want him to say. Obviously, he can't come out and say, oh, it was because of the allegations. Obviously, no. The team wants it to be, no, it was purely football-related. And obviously, nobody buys this statement. There's no reason that your best receiver is released for football-related reasons, unless you know of some sort of injury that's really, really, undetected and nobody else knows about, and they're just keeping it underground. Yeah, there's no reason this was purely a football decision.
Yeah, I'm going to call out. There's definitely no football reason behind it, because his numbers were great, unless he was causing problems in the locker room.
Which he was,
but it wasn't, his numbers on the field, that's something you can tolerate in the locker room, minus the whole scandal, whatever you want to call it. But there's no football reasoning behind it. He was your best receiver, and he's one of the best receivers in the league. I think anyone will agree that, they'll put up with that sort of stuff as long as he's putting the numbers up on the field. And they definitely could have traded him away for something. So there's something going on that they just didn't trade him away for anything, and they just let him go. So I'm calling calling foul in this one.
I think when Chip Kelly says football-related reasons, he's definitely, leaving stuff out, obviously. Obviously, there's locker room trouble. We know that. The NJ.com stuff about the gang affiliations and stuff like that, I think they knew about that. If they didn't know about that, I don't know what the heck they're doing. Because, you just look at his Instagram page and stuff. I think we all know what he was doing. So it's like that stuff it doesn't really matter. But I think, they want better locker room guys. They want guys that having rookies come in, people that they can look up to. He's getting paid a lot of money. They don't want a guy that's getting paid one of the most money on the teams to be a guy that's going to be doing stuff, not being a good role model. So that's kind of, I think that went with it as well.
Bold predictions since it's our last episode of the year. How bad is he going to burn them in their first meeting?
Oh, I think he gets two touchdowns and maybe 150 yards. It could be close to that, definitely. We've seen some stars burn him in the past. I think Deshaun will be able to. I think he'll probably be matched up with Kerry Williams, and I think he could probably take Kerry Williams to town. So I think he gets at least 2 touchdowns in that first game.
Yeah, I would say 3 touchdowns. He's
wow.
Yeah, he's
speaking of bold.
He knows these players. He knows the system. He knows how to beat it. So it's only just be a matter of time whether or not the Redskins can find him open downfield and get the ball to him. So that's what's going to become. It's not a matter of it's not when he will burn them. It's how badly he will burn them.
Yeah, I don't know about 3 touchdowns, but no, I definitely think he could score a touchdown. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if they just tried out for fun. Let's put him in punt return. Maybe he'll return one of those. So it's like he definitely is gonna burn us in some way. It's just a way to get back at us, probably.
Could you imagine if he returned a punt back at the Link in a Redskins uniform? I think the people at Lincoln Financial Field may go crazy.
They might riot.
Yeah.
But now that Deshaun is gone, there is a lapse in the Eagles' offense at wide receiver. With the draft coming up, let's take a look at CBSSports.com. Their mock draft of who the Eagles might take with the 22nd pick in the draft is what they have. And they all have them taking wide receivers. Odell Beckham Jr. out of LSU for 3 of the guys there, and Cody Latimer out of Indiana for the 4th. Do you guys really think they need a receiver that bad, or they can make do with Jeremy Maclin coming back? And isn't the defense kind of more of an area they need to address?
Andrew, you and I were talking before the show today when we were making the rundown for the show. And honestly, I can't make heads or tails of what these Eagles really want here. I really can't, because 1 minute they're talking about evaluating defensive players, then offense. Oh, they may trade up for Mike Evans. They're scouting him. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. But if they do go after Odell Beckham Jr., like 3 or 4 scouts say, it seems to me like he's almost not a carbon copy, but a Deshaun Jackson-esque kind of receiver. Small guy, 5'11", 198, 4.43 40. So about
sounds like
out
me.
that. Yeah. So because of that, I'm not sure if that's really the direction you want to go. If he can be up to that level and put up somewhat similar numbers, then maybe. But I'm just not sure where they're going to go in this draft.
Yeah, I can tell you, he's almost like a Deshaun Jackson-esque player. He's shorter. Jackson was 5'10", but no, I think they're going for another short, speedy guy that can, they can really take off downfield and burn the defensive backs, by 5-10 yards at least for a catch. And I think this is going to be, if they pick a wide receiver in the first round, it's going to be a project for Chip Kelly to kind of groom him into someone like Deshaun Jackson, someone that becomes a deep downfield threat. So, but it will be interesting, since I've always said that, the secondary and defense has always been their struggle the past year.
I'm not a college football expert, but the scouts say that this is one of the greatest wide receiver drafts in a while. So, if we can get a wide receiver in the top 2, and I think that's a bigger reason probably why they released Deshaun too, because if they had troubles there, they're like, this is one of the best receiver drafts in a while. Why don't we just get a receiver? We'll save money. We'll save locker room trouble. So I definitely think they're going to take a receiver in the first 2 rounds, but I don't know what they're going to do with 22 for sure.
All righty, well, we'll see what the Eagles do in the draft. That'll take place in New York City in just about a week and a half. But we'll move on to our Fast 5 segment here on Sports Talk Philadelphia, LaSalle TV. First question goes to Tyler. Favorite STP show this year?
This year, it's got to be the Dan Baker episode. I was lucky enough to be able to get Dan Baker on for the Phillies preview. He talked a lot about his career, how he got out to where he was, and it was a lot of fun. Afterwards, we were able to take pictures with his World Series ring, so definitely a Dan Baker episode.
All right, Mark, favorite Philly team moment this year?
Favorite Philly team moment this year? For me, it's gonna be the Eagles. Eagles coming back and making the playoffs. Riding on Nick Foles, that was just absolutely amazing to see and be a part of.
All right, Tommy. First Philly team to win a championship.
Whoa. The Flyers, it's been so long. Eagles, I don't know. I feel like I'm just gonna go long shot, and because I'm a Sixers fan, we're going with Sixers. I feel
Oh,
like
boy.
they
Really?
get
I like it.
they get
We're waiting till
they-
2018 for
we
It's a
get
long-term
we get
investment.
some good picks this year. You never know.
I like that. All right, Mark. The best Philly sports team next year.
Next year, Eagles. They only need one or two more people, and they'll be really successful. Phillies, the bullpen, Flyers, goalie, whether or not Steve Mason plays well in the defense, and Sixers are Sixers. So
All right, and Tyler, most exciting thing about hosting STP next year?
Wow. I guess that's a nice little drop there.
Yeah, it's a transition, huh?
I like it. Just being able to say that, it's kind of a cheesy answer, so bear with me, but being able to say that I run a show. I came in a couple years ago. I didn't think I'd come close to hosting a show until maybe my senior year. So being able to take over STP next year, I'm excited.
Yeah, and with that said, it's kind of obvious now. This is my last show as host of STP. So I just want to thank everyone from the back. Tanya Ellis does a lot for LaSalle TV. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Everyone in the back, thanks for helping out. You go unnoticed a lot, but I appreciate you. So thank you, everyone, for watching. It's been a great ride, and I couldn't be more proud to be a LaSalle TV person. So with that said, that'll do it for this week's show. In this season of LaSalle TV, Sports Talk Philadelphia, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out, LaSalle TV at lasalle.edu for email. Yeah, okay. We're also on the website, lasalle.edu/LaSalle TV. Social media as well, feel free to hit us up. We're all on Twitter. Our names are on the lower thirds. Facebook, you can keyword search Sports Talk Philadelphia, as well as YouTube, keyword search Sports Talk Philadelphia. All our episodes are uploaded by Tanya, who's great, obviously. So you can check them out all the way back from September and even last year. So please do check them out. That'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the fall.